Hey guys, welcome to RenderRides, and today in this video I'm going to show you how I created this cute little isometric scene in Blender 2.8 rendered with cycles. This isn't going to be a full in-depth tutorial, but instead I'll show you the important parts and some techniques that I used while making this. So yeah, if you're a complete beginner, you might have some difficulties understanding it, but you can still watch it because there are some tips and tricks that you could use to speed up your workflow. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. First up, I made this simple room by adding a cube and deleting one of its vertices to make it hollow. And then I added a solidify modifier to give it some thickness, and then I scaled it to something which looks more like a room. After that, I added two cubes for the door and the window cutouts and added two boolean modifiers to the room object and select the two cubes I made as the objects for it. And doing that gave us these nice cutouts and also made it very easy to change them. Make sure to hide them to see the actual cutouts. We're also gonna click on this little camera icon here to hide it in the render. Now you can get creative with it and place whatever objects you'd like in your imaginary room. After all, the sky's your limit, and maybe also your computer. Don't blame me if you get to 20 million triangles with this scene. Well, jokes aside, let's continue with it. So next I added the actual models for the door and the window. I used an add-on called Archimesh for this. After enabling it, you can press N on your keyboard to bring up this panel and then go to create and then select door to add the door model. Choose whatever model you think would fit the best with your scene and then scale and position it to your door cutout. For the window, I used this Venetian blinds model that comes with this add-on. Scale and position it and tweak the settings till you find something that you like. This is looking pretty good for the base of the room. Now let's model some simple things. First up, we're gonna remodel these shelves on the right hand side of the window, which is pretty straightforward. You just take a cube and scale it till it looks like you can actually put something on it. Now let's position it and press Alt D to make an instance of it and position it like this. Do it one more time and you're done with the shelves. Now let's make the table by using a cube and scaling it. Let's add another cube for the drawers and then scale it up along the Z-axis. Pretty simple and straightforward. Let's press Alt D again to make an instance of it and put it on the other edge. Let's go to edit mode and add these loop cuts and make some designs to make it more interesting. We're also gonna make this simple shape and use the boolean modifier with the operation set to difference to cut them out of the drawer. Now we're done with the table. Now let's make this weird looking bean bag. But before we do that, let's add our camera and position it somewhere around here. Let's change its type to orthographic and change the orthographic scale to something which makes more sense. Now we get this isometric look without the camera actually sensing any depth, which is exactly what we want. Okay, now let's make the beanbag. For this, I used an icosphere and subdivided it a couple of times. Then I applied smooth shading on it by going to Object, Smooth Shading. Let's switch over to sculpting mode to sculpt the details. We don't need to make it very realistic because this scene isn't realistic in the first place. Let's not worry about that and just make a basic shape. I mainly use the draw brush with a high radius to sculpt the main details. You can also hold Ctrl while sculpting to make the dents in the mesh. Let's also use the crease brush to add some finer details to it, which will make it look better. We're also gonna flatten out the bottom of the mesh so that it sits on the floor nicely. Now let's add a cube and we're gonna subdivide it a couple of times as well. Let's press Ctrl plus T to triangulate the faces to have more control over the faces. Now let's switch to sculpt mode and we're gonna smooth it first and just deform it a little bit here and there and add some fine details to make it look better. Let's also make sure that we applied smooth shading to it. Okay, now we're gonna model this fancy stylized rug. Let's add a circle and then go to edit mode and extrude it up just a little bit and give it a face, and then let's insert it a couple of times to get a nicer topology. Let's add a subsurface modifier and apply it. Now let's go to particle settings and add a particle system. Let's change the particle type to hair to, well, get the hair. And I'm gonna show you the exact settings I used to make this now. You can pause the video here if you want to copy them. I'd also recommend that you keep experimenting with them to even get some better results. Now this is pretty much everything for the main models. Now before I tell you about the other details in the scene, let's focus on how I made this very simple cartoonish plant. The base model itself is very simple. It's just a cylinder edited a bit to look more like a pot, and I used half of an icosphere and deformed it with sculpting for the soil. For the stems, I used a Bezier curve and modeled it a little bit to look more like a plant. And then I went to object data settings, geometry, and gave it some depth. Let's give it a bit of subsurf to make it nice and smooth. Let's also convert it into a mesh and apply the subsurf modifier. Now we're actually going to model the leaves for the plant. This is also very straightforward with just a plain subdivided ones with a subsurf modifier on it, and I just moved around the vertices a little bit to make it look like a leaf. I made 3 variants of it and put them in one collection called leaves. Now let's go back to our main collection and select our plant and add a hair particle system with render as set to collection, with the leaves collection selected as the instance collection. Here are the settings I used to get these results. Now after you have made the plant, duplicate it and place it right next to the one you just made. Randomize the rotation and scale and change some of the geometry or the particle system settings to make it a bit more random. And we also have a cactus right here. Let's duplicate the soil and pot of the previous plant and put it on the shelf. To make the actual cactus, I used a cylinder and added a bunch of loop cuts to it. I scaled individual loop cuts to get a shape like this, and then I selected these vertical loop cuts alternately and then scaled them in after pressing Shift Z to only scale it in the X and Y axis. Let's also select the top face and collapse it by pressing Alt M and selecting collapse. And then let's add a subsurf. Now it's time for the very boring models, which are the books. Nobody likes to model them because they're just boring and repetitive. But using the Archimesh add-on, I was able to create them very easily. You can just change their scale and rotation and their position individually to make them random and more interesting. Let's select random ones and duplicate them and stack them to get a new collection of books. Let's fill the shelf with some other books and also add them to our study table right here. I also had this little coffee table over here near our couch where I put a book and a drink. Whoever would live here must be really fond of books. Well, to make this table, it was very simple. Just some cubes scaled and duplicated to form this shape, and this cup can be made using 2 cylinders. And now let's make this chair over here. I used a plane for this and extruded one of its edges up, and then I used a subsurf modifier and also beveled a hard angle to make it smoother. Then I just moved around some of the vertices so that it looks more comfortable enough for a chair, and I also added a solidify modifier to thicken it up a little bit. For the legs, I simply used a cylinder, added a subsurf, added some loop cuts to change its shape, and I also deleted the faces at the ends of it to make it sharper. And now let's select the leg, go up here to the pivot settings and select 3D cursor. Now if you duplicate and rotate the leg in the Z axis, it will move with the cursor as the origin. Now we can just repeat this 4 times to get the other legs done. Now for the details on the table, I modeled some very simple but interesting things such as a laptop and a desk lamp, which only makes sense to be present on this table. I'm not going to go into too much detail about how I created these. You can just try to make them, which will also help you improve your modeling skills. These are pretty much primitive shapes anyway. I also made this very simple bulb using a subsurf cylinder for the desk lamp so we can add some emission to it later. I also made this crushed paper balls. Yeah, I made that using an icosphere and just sculpted some very simple dents and stuff. And then I duplicated it and selected one of its vertices and pressed Ctrl++ on the number pad to select more vertices, and then I deleted them to get this torn paper kind of look. I also added these crushed paper balls to these dustbins at the corner of the room, which is just a cylinder with a solidify modifier basically. I also added more details like this pen stand with some pens and the switches on the wall near the door and these wallpapers on the wall to make it look more interesting. You can just add a plane, extrude it out, insert the face and extrude it in again to get this photo frame kind of look. Now just add whatever details you want in the scene to make it complete, and then we will start with the. Now if we take a look at the rendered view of this scene, we can see that there are basically 2 light sources. One is the door on the left and the other one is the window. So I started off with the lighting with an HDRI first to get some easy and basic lighting. How you go about doing that is to go to the world settings, go over to surface, and let's change this color input to an environment texture. Now select the HDRI that you want to use and set the strength to something which makes a little bit more sense and something which does not overpower the scene. Then I added an area lamp about the size of the door and marked it as a portal. This will make it not emit its own light, but instead it will be used to guide the HDRI. I also did the same thing for our window over here and just rotated the light slightly downwards and towards the left. Then for these nice glow effects for the lights, I simply use a plane with an emission shader and the strength set to 5 and the color set to something a bit orangey. And for our window over here, I just use the same emission plane with the strength set to 50 and the color slightly blue. Now let's go to the camera view and check it out. That's basically it for the main lighting. I did use a little light here for the desk lamp which is overlookable, but I thought it added a very nice effect. So I used a spot lamp for this, gave it a nice and warm color with a strength of about 20. Also make sure that you rotate it according to your desk lamp. This is it for the lighting. Now let's take a look at the most fun part, the materials. I think adding the materials took the longest time for me because I was unsure about the colors that I wanted to use, but I basically used the principal shader for all of them and mainly adjusted the roughness and the metallic inputs for each material. This part is mostly your preference and common sense, so it would be best if you just experiment with it on your own. By the way, I have seen so many people who don't know how to add more than one material to an object, so let's go over that. I'm gonna use the photo frame as an example. Let's first add a main material to our photo frame which will be used for the frame. And then let's add another material and call it painting. This will be the actual photo or the painting for the object. Now let's go to edit mode and select the middle face where we want our painting to be. Let's select the painting material and with the face selected, hit assign. Now to make sure that your material is applied there, you can just deselect everything and click on select to check which faces are assigned to that material. Now let's go over to the UV editing workflow and then go to the back orthographic view by pressing Ctrl+1 on the number pad. Let's select everything in edit mode and press U, project from view. This unwrapping method works very well when you just want to slap on a texture onto a flat object like what we have here. If you don't know how UV unwrapping works, I'll leave some suggestions down in the video description to help you out. But yeah, after unwrapping it, just move the islands around till you're happy with how it looks. I used the same technique to add the materials for our laptop. I used an emission shader for the screen here and assigned the laptop's screen's face to this material. I also added an emission shader to the bulb that we made earlier for our desk lamp. You can play around with the colors and the strength of the emission shaders to get what fits for your scene the most. I would highly recommend that you put some time and thought into planning out your color scheme of your scene instead of just having some random colors. And when you do figure it out, just stick with it. Colors play a huge role in storytelling, so if you want to tell a story of let's say a cute little room of a cute little girl in a cute little house, you wouldn't want to paint everything black and white. So yeah, don't rush with the colors. Our scene is almost complete now. Let's try and render it out to see how it actually looks. So let's first make sure that our render engine is set to cycles, because that's literally the whole point of this video. And if you have a dedicated graphics card, you can choose GPU compute from this drop down for better performance while rendering. But if you don't, then don't worry, because this scene won't be too heavy for your CPU either. Just note that it usually takes longer to render from a CPU rather than a GPU, so yeah, just use a GPU if you can. Now let's go to color management and make sure your view transform is set to filmic, which gives us a higher dynamic range, and so the white values won't be exaggerated and nor will the dark ones. Now you can mess around with the look later to see which one fits best with your scene. I went with high contrast because I thought it looked much better. Give it about 64 to 128 samples if you just want a preview, or bump it up to 512 or 1024 if you want those nice details and remove that ugly noise. There's also a free add-on for Blender called Denoise by Remington Graphics, which uses AI for noise removal. I think it works really good with low sample renders, so yeah, just check it out. Anyway, let's go to the performance section and set the tiles to 256 on both X and Y. If you're using a CPU to render, I'd recommend that you instead use a low value like 64. Now let's go here and set the resolution X to 1920 and the Y to 1080 pixels. Also make sure that you have the slider turned all the way up if you actually want a full resolution render. Let's scroll down and select the 16-bit color depth to squeeze out all the colors of our scene in the final render. Now go ahead and go to render image, and just just chill till it's done rendering out your scene. Now that's basically it for this project. You could leave it like this if you want to, but I did a little bit of compositing at the end inside Blender, which is really optional if you ask me. You could just bring this image into Photoshop or GIMP or Lightroom or any image editor to do some final tweaks and post-processing. If you want me to make a tutorial on how I did the composition inside Blender, let me know down in the comment section and I'll definitely try to do my best. Also, if you have any further questions, suggestions, or well, something funny to say, you're welcome to comment on this video. Make sure you hit that like button if this video helped you out in any way, and consider subscribing if you want to support me and get notifications about my future videos. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial, and also let me know if I should continue making these type of tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.